Kris Wu, a name once synonymous with success, talent, and power. From an unknown boy to a global superstar, his journey seemed like a fairy tale until it all came crashing down. Between multi-million-dollar contracts, a legion of fans, and a bright future in Hollywood, Kris built an empire, but one that was brought to nothing by his own actions. Today, we'll explore the rise and fall of this Chinese icon, whose fame turned into scandal and tragedy. Kris was born in Guangzhou, China on November 6, 1990, and his birth name is actually Wu Yifan. At just 10 years old, he moved with his mother to Vancouver, Canada, following his parents' divorce. This move was a watershed in his life, marking not only the breakup of his family, but also a transition to a completely different reality. In Canada, Kris had to quickly adapt to a new language and a Western culture that strongly contrasted with his Chinese roots. These adaptation experiences helped him develop a strong sense of independence and a need to stand out in any environment, traits that would accompany him throughout his career. Despite the challenges, Kris found comfort in sports, especially basketball, where he became the captain of his school team, showing early on his talent for leadership. His passion for the arts also emerged during this period, influenced by the multicultural environment of Vancouver, which introduced him to new possibilities for artistic expression. It was this mix of influences, challenges, and the constant pursuit of fitting in while standing out that shaped his personality and prepared him to face the competitive world of entertainment. Kris's first encounter with music and the arts occurred, as I mentioned, still in Vancouver, where he began to take an interest in singing and dancing. This initial interest was driven by a desire to express himself and find his own identity. Kris participated in small school shows and local events, developing his stage skills and beginning to build confidence in his performance. The major turning point in his life came at 17 when he attended a global audition by SM Entertainment, one of South Korea's biggest entertainment agencies. His talent caught the agency's scouts' attention, and he was approved, embarking on a journey that would lead him to rigorous training in South Korea. In 2008, Kris moved to Seoul and fully immersed himself in a world that demanded a lot of discipline and extreme dedication. At SM Entertainment, Kris went through a rigorous process involving singing, dancing, and acting. This phase was challenging, marked by the well-known intense practice hours every trainee must undergo, and the pressure to stand out among many other equally talented trainees. Despite the difficulties, he managed to stand out due to his imposing height and stage presence, traits that earned him an important role in a group that would change his life forever, EXO. This training period in South Korea not only honed his skills, but also prepared him for the life of a K-pop idol, with all the sacrifices and challenges that would follow. In 2012, Kris Wu officially debuted as a member of EXO, one of the biggest launches by SM Entertainment. Comprising 12 members, EXO was divided into two subunits, EXO-K and EXO-M, focused on the Korean and Chinese markets, respectively. Kris was assigned to EXO-M. His mission was to win over the Chinese audience with songs in Mandarin. Kris had an imposing presence and charisma, which made them stand out. Kris played a fundamental role in EXO, being the leader of the subunit EXO-M and the main rapper of the group. His athletic build, striking visual features, and ability to communicate in Mandarin, Korean, and English made him one of the most popular members, not just in China, but also internationally. This versatility allowed him to gain a solid fan base, who saw him as a symbol of the connection between the West and the East within K-pop. Despite the growing fame, the dynamics within EXO were not simple. The members faced extremely exhausting schedules, often with little sleep and almost endless training. Over time, Kris began to show signs of dissatisfaction with the rigorous conditions imposed by SM Entertainment, including the lack of autonomy over his career and concerns about his health. In May 2014, Kris made the abrupt decision to leave EXO, shocking fans around the world and generating huge controversy. His departure was accompanied by a lawsuit against SM Entertainment, in which he alleged inhumane working conditions and restrictive contracts. Kris W's decision divided fans, some supporting his courage to confront the agency, while others saw him as a traitor to the group. This split left marks on EXO, but also paved the way for Kris to start his solo career, free from SM's limitations but carrying the scars and the image of someone who challenges the system. After leaving EXO, Kris Wu returned to China and began his solo career still in 2014. He quickly established himself as one of the biggest stars of Chinese entertainment, releasing singles that became huge hits, like Time Boils the Rain, a song that topped the charts and served as the soundtrack for the popular Chinese movie Tiny Times 3. He still had the ability to captivate the audience, Even after his controversial departure from EXO, now Kris was determined to write his own destiny. Besides music, Kris expanded his career to the cinema. He starred in Chinese films like Mr. Six and Journey to the West, The Demons Strike Back, both successful at the box office, helping to consolidate his image as a versatile entertainment figure. Kris also made his way into Hollywood, participating in the movie Return of Xander Cage alongside Vin Diesel in 2017. This participation elevated his international profile, putting him in the spotlight also in the Western market. Kris's celebrity life was marked by his presence at high-profile events. He participated in the NBA All-Star Celebrity Game more than once, gaining even more fans outside the musical scene. His superstar image was reinforced by international music partnerships, collaborating with renowned artists like Travis Scott and Jhené Aiko. Kris built an empire, amassing a considerable fortune through advertising contracts, music releases, movie participations, and commercial deals, even before the age of 30. His ability to connect with different audiences and his skill in maintaining an image of a multifaceted artist made him a pop icon. It seemed nothing could stop him, but appearances can be deceiving. In 2021, the empire Kris Wu had built began to crumble. A series of serious allegations against him began to emerge. It all started in July when Dumeju, a Chinese influencer, revealed a shocking story to the public. She claimed to have been harassed by Kris, describing a pattern of manipulative and abusive behavior. According to Du, Kris had lured her and other young women under the pretense of auditions for music videos and private parties, where he would intoxicate them and put them in vulnerable situations. The revelations caused a stir on social media, and Kris's name quickly became one of the most discussed topics, generating a wave of allegations from other victims who claimed to have experienced similar situations. Dumeju's complaint was just the first of many. Over the following weeks, several other women began to come forward with similar stories. Many of them were young, some still minors at the time of the alleged incidents. The complaints varied, but all painted a similar picture. Kris using his influence and power to manipulate and abuse young women, taking advantage of their aspirations in the entertainment world to coerce them. The growing number of allegations led the Chinese authorities to open an official investigation, given the volume and seriousness of the complaints. In July 2021, Kris Wu was detained by Beijing police on suspicion of rape. The detention was a highly publicized event in China and abroad, and the media began to follow every detail of the case. What started as a series of posts on social media soon turned into a massive investigation, where testimonials, text messages, and other evidence were gathered to support the accusations. Kris Wu's trial was conducted behind closed doors due to the sensitive nature of the allegations and the number of victims involved. In court, the artist faced formal charges of rape and organizing group sexual encounters, both grave offenses that carry severe penalties in China. The authorities were rigorous in the investigation, seeking to ensure justice for the victims and establish a precedent for how such cases would be handled in the country. During the hearings, Kris's abusive behavior was exposed, and the public image he had built of a charismatic and influential idol was shattered. In November 2022, Kris Wu was sentenced to 13 years in prison, with the rape charge accounting for 11 years and 6 months, and the charge of organizing group sexual encounters adding another 1 year and 10 months. After serving his sentence, his deportation to Canada was also decreed, ensuring that he would not remain in China after release. The repercussions of the sentencing were immediate and devastating. Large international and local brands, which previously competed for partnerships with him, quickly disassociated themselves. His social media accounts were deleted, advertising contracts were terminated, and his work in the entertainment industry was essentially erased. In just a few months, Kris went from one of the biggest names in Asian entertainment to a disgraced and despised figure. And that was the end of the great Kris Wu.